What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I thought I'd try a new location out today. I'm in hippie mode at the moment, out here in the forest barefoot, out enjoying the sun, just recorded some content. So while I was here I figured I'd make use of the backdrop. Today I just wanted to do like a casual talk on how we can build a life we don't want to escape from. I use drugs and all kinds of other behaviours and vices to escape my reality, because I didn't enjoy the life I was living, and I had internal dysregulation, I couldn't manage myself, I couldn't manage my emotions, couldn't really process what was going on for me internally. And I've learned that I just never got taught, never got shown how to regulate myself, how to manage my emotions, how to regulate my nervous system. And this is kind of why I'm out here now in the forest barefoot, grounding my energy, been doing some exercise, been doing some walking, getting some fresh air, doing some qigong practice, working with cultivating my energy, my life force. And since coming into recovery, getting clean off drugs, it's opened up a whole new world for me in terms of like practices and things that I can do to manage myself, to feel good. I didn't know it was possible to feel this good. And when you're in it, when you're struggling with drug addiction, or you're caught in the trap of dopamine fixing on social media and OnlyFans and gaming, and you're eating junk food and you're staying up all night, not sleeping properly, and you're depressed. When someone tells you to like just sleep well, get some exercise and, start doing some healthy practices, you just laugh it off, don't you? You just think that ain't gonna work for me, and I was the same. I was very close-minded, and I didn't realize that the solution to most of my problems was actually very simple. And we talk about like escaping the matrix, unplugging from the matrix, but it really is true, man. Building a life that you don't want to escape from, I think, is more about what you don't do, what you choose to disengage from. When we talk about unplugging, the fucking rat race, the slogging away at a job you don't enjoy. Like, you have to question yourself. Like, if you're in a job right now that you don't enjoy, and every day you wake up and you dreading waking up, going to work, you've got to question yourself, what are you doing? Because there's so many options available to you these days. You don't have to live that way, If you're waking up with no sense of direction and purpose, if you're out of shape and unfit, what are you doing? Because, you ain't, well, who knows really what happens after death, but as far as we know, you only get one life, right? So why are you letting society and your own limitations control what you're going to do with yourself and your life? I suppose I could never really take responsibility for myself and my life. I was never shown how to mature, arrested development, using drugs from the age of like 14, 15. I never grew up, and I never dealt with my problems, and I didn't know where to start. But I heard a saying recently which was, incremental is monumental. It's those small little wins, that stack up and compound over time. That's how you change your life. When I was using and I was in the middle of it, I couldn't see a way out, and like it just seemed like this massive mountain that I had to climb, and I didn't know where to start, and I couldn't picture myself at the top of that mountain. But by taking little consistent actions, little wins, doing what I could over time, doing my best, showing up for myself every single day, before long, I'm halfway up the mountain without even realizing it, My issues are getting solved, because I'm finding solutions today. I'm not burying my head in the sand anymore. I take responsibility for my life. So how do we build a life we don't want to escape from? Taking ownership, realizing that no one's going to come and save you. It does take a bit of searching, I think, and a bit of pain and a bit of suffering to break free from this kind of matrix, this societal conditioning, to realize that we are free agents. And I think it's partly awakening yourself, awakening your soul, getting in touch with what it really means to be human, and realizing that that life ain't for me, and it might be for some people, but not for me. And figuring out your sense of purpose. What are you good at? What do you find easy that other people struggle with? What are you naturally drawn to? What do you enjoy doing? What can you get paid for? These are the kind of questions you want to start asking yourself when it comes to finding your purpose. Life should be completely single-pointed and focused on pursuing that. And anything that deviates you from that path or distracts you or isn't moving you towards the person you want to be has to go. And you have to be quite ruthless with that. It takes discipline, it takes effort, it takes consistency. Years I've been working on myself, and I've been building foundations, and I've made great progress in my life, and I'm living a life of freedom. I'm able to do what I want, to do what I love, because I've set myself up in that way. And I do have a job right now, I do, but I love it, and it supports my goals, it supports my purpose, it supports the path I'm on, because I found a job that's in alignment with that, helping people in rehabs, as a mentor, a peer support worker, teaching, sharing. That's aligned with my life goals and my purpose, and eventually I'll step away from that and I'll move on to other things. And this part of my plan now is to start making an income stream online, start telling my story, teaching other young men who have been through what I've been through. I grew up, I had all kinds of dysfunctions, and limitations and challenges. I've overcome every single one of those, and I'm proud of myself for that, I've come a long way, and, if you're on this journey, you should recognize that in yourself as well, how far you've come. And if you're in it right now, just know that it's possible, man. I just needed to see someone else do it to believe it was possible for me, So we have to stop burying our heads in the sand. Gaming, social media, porn, OnlyFans, seeking lust, shallow relationships. Because it's all just distraction. It's all just a temporary comfort, to make us feel better. Because the life we're living isn't fulfilling. You see people work a 9 to 5 and they live for the weekend. And all week they hate their life. Every morning they get up and they're like, fuck, I don't want to get up, I don't want to go to work. But I have to, And then they blow out on the weekend. Or they have vices and addictions just to feel something. Because the rest of their life is so monotonous and unfulfilling that that's all they've got. I'm here to build a life that is worth living. An exciting life. A life of purpose. A life of giving back and helping others. A life of building myself, becoming the best version of myself. That's exciting to me. I wake up every morning with a sense of purpose. I was depressed before because my life was shit. Because I didn't take care of myself. I didn't take responsibility. I buried my head in the sand. I used drugs. I escaped reality. I stayed up too late. Felt like shit every single morning. Lost jobs. Lost relationships. Destroyed myself. Destroyed my family. That's being rebuilt now. I'm blessed for that. We have to start living with a sense of a higher purpose, and higher aspirations. And this is why I'm out here today, reconnecting with what it means to be human. I'm here on my own at the moment, but community, that's a massive part of being human. Connection with other people, connection with people who have been through what I've been through, connection with people who are going where I'm going. Brotherhood, family, friends. This is a contemplative video for me. I look stoned, but I'm not. High on life, actually. Because this is what I've learned now. Like I said, every problem has a holistic solution. And when you're fit and healthy, when you have a good diet, when you take care of your energy, when you take care of your community, when you have real close friends that you can call on, when you have a sense of purpose in life, you don't want to escape that life. I wouldn't want to be high. I wouldn't want to miss this. It all boils down to us. We are free agents. Are you going to live this life? Comfort, distraction, avoidance, the rat race, unfulfillment, societal conditioning, or are you going to become an individual, figure out who you are, what's your purpose, why are you here? What can you offer to the world that only you can offer? Because everyone has something. Everyone has some gold. Their unique perspectives, talents, experiences, even our traumas and our suffering is quite often what awakens us to those things. The things I've struggled with the most in life have been the biggest blessings in the long run, because they've led me to develop the traits that I needed to develop to overcome them. They've taught me a lot about myself, my life. Those moments kick-started the most growth within me. So we should be thankful for those. Developing a mindset, any obstacle that I encounter is just a pathway to greater success. Some people have a victim mindset, some people have a defeatist mindset. Or they fear of failing, they don't even start. It's about cultivating an unstoppable mindset, believing in yourself, backing yourself. That takes some time. It's taken me some time to get here, to this point, where I fully trust myself. I didn't trust myself before in addiction because I let myself down over and over again. But through discipline and consistency and routine and structure, persistence, I've built self-respect. I trust myself today. And I back myself because I know whatever I put my mind to, I will achieve it. That's a mindset. There's no room for doubt. And I don't think that can be taught. I think that's just something you pick up over time. But I know I'm capable, and whatever I put my mind to, I will see it through and I will achieve, even if there are obstacles in the way. Because the obstacles are the pathway. Be thankful for obstacles because they teach you something. They teach you to redirect, to overcome, to grow, to learn. Without those, we would stay exactly where we are. So, yeah, there's a few rambling thoughts there. Hopefully there's some value in there for you guys. Some little life takes. It's just more of a conversational video. No structure, no script, no plan. Just realness, and that's what I love about being human. Authenticity, connection, sharing. Being in recovery taught me to share, to wear my heart on my sleeve and to get vulnerable, and I've been through some stuff, man, and I've shared quite openly about that, Being human's good, man. When we reconnect with humanity, in ourselves, in our soul, nature, God, life is good. And if you're lost right now or you're struggling, reach out, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk to you. Just reach out to someone. Start having a bit of a plan for yourself. And just know that the onus is on you, but you can do it. Knowing that, it empowers us and it helps us to stop being a victim. So take charge of your life, step into your power, overcome your limitations, overcome your challenges, build character, build strength, Figure out your purpose and your direction in life. Aspire for freedom, because that is what we came here for. Human beings are meant to be free. I truly believe that. So, on that positive note, I'll leave it there. Thanks for listening. Appreciate your time, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.